The Chicago skyline stretched across the horizon, golden lights flowing over glass skyscrapers as the metropolis stirred, waking. From his corner office on the 26th floor of Sterling Financial Group, Michael Carter took a slow drink of his black coffee, letting its bitterness settle on his tongue. He liked his coffee the way he liked his life, strong, regimented, and without unnecessary sweetness. His day was organized to the last detail: early morning reports, back-to-back client calls, and a dinner reservation with Laura, his wife of 6 years. Their relationship wasn't a passionate whirlwind, nor was it beset with difficulties. It was stable, routine, just the way he preferred things. He glanced at his desk, where a neatly arranged pile of files sat, ready for review. Everything in his life had its place, its order. He and Laura weren't the kind of couple who bickered or had spectacular conflicts. Their marriage was efficient, predictable, or so he believed. That evening, he arrived home later than usual. The apartment smelled of lavender and vanilla, Laura's distinctive aroma. She was in the kitchen, pouring herself a glass of wine, her blonde hair tucked into a casual bun. "You're home late," she said, swirling the wine in her glass. "Long day," he responded, loosening his tie as he stepped toward the counter. Laura offered him a brief smile before glancing at her phone, then quickly locking the screen. It was a tiny movement, hardly noticeable. Yet Michael spotted it. He had always been skilled at reading people, clients, co-workers, investors. Yet somehow he had never thought to study his own wife. He shrugged the thought away, blaming it on fatigue. "I need to check an email," he said, pulling his phone from his pocket. The screen remained dark, low battery, he sighed. Vital contracts needed his approval. "Can I use your phone for a second?" he asked casually. Laura hesitated. A pause, a flicker of something in her expression. Then, with a forced smile, she handed it over. "Sure. Just don't go snooping." "Through my texts," she joked. Michael didn't laugh. He opened the email app, quickly locating the contract he needed. He was about to hand the phone back when his fingertip accidentally brushed across the home screen. A folder appeared, labeled Private Memories. His breath slowed. His heartbeat didn't. It was nothing. It had to be nothing. And yet his instincts, the ones that had never failed him in his profession, told him to look. He tapped on the folder. The screen filled with hundreds of photographs. At first, they seemed harmless. Laura at a restaurant. Laura at the beach. Laura in a beautiful suite. Then, his stomach dropped. She wasn't alone. In nearly every shot, there was a man, tall, dark-haired, effortlessly handsome. Someone Michael had never seen before. The timestamps weren't from years ago. They were recent. Every photo was from Laura's birthday trips. Trips she had told Michael were just family vacations. His fingers tightened on the phone as he scrolled faster. Laura, holding champagne glasses with the man, walking along the shore, laughing together in candlelit restaurants. Michael's breath came in sharp, uneven bursts. It wasn't just an affair, it was a double life. Every year on her birthday, Laura had slipped away, told him she was visiting her parents. Every year she had smiled at him, accepted his birthday gifts, kissed him goodnight, all while spending her real birthday with someone else. His fingers trembled. He wanted to stop looking, but he couldn't. The betrayal felt like a dagger creeping between his ribs, twisting with every photo. He backed out of the folder, his mind racing. Maybe there was an explanation. Maybe this was all a misunderstanding, but deep down he knew the truth. The timestamps didn't lie. Neither did the photographs. Michael turned to Laura. She was still sipping her wine, completely unaware that the foundation of their marriage had just crumbled beneath them. He clenched his jaw. Now wasn't the time to erupt. Now was the moment to think, to plan. Because if there was one thing Michael Carter never did, It was Lou's. The corruption that tied Benjamin to his crimes was undeniable, and then I did something I knew would set everything in motion. I prepared an email, not to the police, nor to a lawyer, but to someone who had more influence than both. A competitor. Firm, one that had been seeking an opportunity to knock down Ashwood Capital for years. And now I was delivering them a loaded pistol. Keeping the message short, I attached exactly what they needed to view. Then I pushed send. Just like that. The fall of Benjamin Reed had begun. Laura had thought she was secure. She had thought she could play this game forever. But she didn't know the truth. She wasn't playing the game. She was the game. And I was going to end it. The next morning, I got up before Laura again. The room was still dim, early morning light sneaking through the curtains. Nevertheless, my thoughts were already keen, concentrated. Today was the day everything started to unravel. I jumped out of bed without making a sound, went to the bathroom and splashed cold water on my face. Steady hands. Calm breathing. Controlled thoughts. Laura stirred slightly in bed but didn't wake. Good. By the time she opened her eyes, her world would already be on fire. I checked my phone as I dressed. No messages from Derek yet, but it didn't matter. I had already set things in motion. Benjamin Reed wouldn't know it yet, but his entire career, reputation, and financial empire were going to fall. And Laura? She would have no choice but to watch it happen. By the time I got to my office, the storm had begun. I stepped into the foyer of Sterling Financial Group, greeting the receptionist before heading to the elevator. A handful of my colleagues were conversing in hushed voices, scrolling through their phones with furrowed brows. Something was happening. I stepped off the elevator, walked directly to my office, and sat down. My phone buzzed. A text from Derek. Turn on the news. I grabbed the remote and flipped to a financial news channel. And there it was. Breaking news. Investment consultant Benjamin Reed under investigation for insider trading and fraud. I leaned back in my chair, a sly smirk forming. The paper highlighted leaked evidence of his offshore accounts, unlawful financial activities, and client data leaks. An official investigation had already begun. Ashwood Capital had officially distanced themselves from him. Benjamin Reed was finished. And this was simply the beginning. I took a sip of my coffee, savoring the moment. Laura's perfect little affair had just crumbled. I knew what was coming. The panic. The desperation. And sure enough, my phone rang. Laura. I let it ring twice before answering, keeping my tone casual. Morning. Her voice was shaking. Michael, have you seen the news? I feigned ignorance. Oh? Something about Ashwood Capital? Sounds messy. She exhaled rapidly, like she was trying to breathe. She was terrified, not just for Benjamin, for herself. Michael, I need to talk to you, she pleaded, her voice almost desperate. I smiled. I'm at work. Can it wait? Silence. I could just hear her mind racing. Please, she whispered. Just meet me for lunch, it's vital. I let a long pause spread between us before saying, fine, 12:30, Matos, a high-end Italian restaurant, neutral ground. Thank you, she whispered, before hanging up. I laid my phone down, staring at the news ticker on the screen. Benjamin Reed had lost everything in one morning, and Laura had nowhere left to hide. At exactly 12:30, I walked into Matos. Laura was already there, sitting in a seat, her face pallid, hands gripped together on the table. She looked up as I approached, her eyes searching my face for something. Pity. Forgiveness. Neither were coming. I slid into the seat across from her, taking my time unfolding the napkin, arranging it neatly on my lap. So, I said, lifting an eyebrow. What's so urgent? Laura gulped hard. Michael, I need to tell you something. I raised my head, feigning curiosity. Go on. Her hands trembled slightly as she reached for her bottle of water. "I made a mistake," she whispered. Kept my expression unreadable. "A mistake?" She took a trembling breath. "I got involved in something I shouldn't have. Benjamin, he wasn't who I thought he was. She hesitated, swallowing. He used me." I let the silence stretch, watching her crumble. This was precisely where I wanted her, desperate, afraid, helpless. "Used you how?" I asked, leaning forward slightly. Her lower lip shook. "I thought it was just a relationship. But he had me sign things, transfer information. I didn't know what I was doing until it was too late." She was admitting it. Not just the affair. The crime. I breathed slowly, tapping my fingers against the table. "That's unfortunate," I stated, my voice calm, "because I assume you know what happens next." Her eyes widened. "Michael, you were complicit," I interrupted easily. "Whether you knew or not, you assisted him. You sent financial data, signed illegal paperwork, and now it's all coming to light."